All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you all are having a good morning so far. I wanted to check out this video here. This is actually suggested to me a couple of times by you guys. And this is from the channel Dylan Does Basketball. And it's titled, How the NBA Destroyed Their Players. And I'm honestly already very intrigued. Apparently this came out about 7 months ago, but it flew under the radar for me. But I'm excited to check it out with you guys. And fair weather warning, my throat is kind of shot today. I don't know what's going on, but I did go to sleep with like the fan on super high last night and the air conditioning on, obviously. So anyways, if you could just bear with my voice, at least in the beginning, it'll probably clear up. I'd appreciate it. Real quick, I want to let you know I'm going to link the original video here down below in the description. So if you guys want to check out the channel from Dylan Does and any of that, the link is down below in the description. You also see a list of channel members in there. And Dave Frost, shout out to you. Welcome and thank you for joining. I like seeing that Larry O'Brien trophy next to your name. I hope you do too. And I'll be seeing you in the member section, my friend. I guess that's it for the intro, you guys. Let's see what this video is about, because I'm not sure exactly what the angle is that it's going to be. We'll find out real soon. So like the video. I'd appreciate it a lot. And without further ado, here we go.
In sports, we as fans often idolize athletes who play through their injuries. We call them tough and praise them for their strong willpower. But behind all this fun exists a dark reality. More often than not, sports teams end up sacrificing their players' long-term health in exchange for winning and money. They give them the green light to play, even when the medical evidence suggests they should be sidelined. This happens in the NBA far more than one would think. Here are 7 of the most brutal examples of when NBA teams sacrifice their players. Disclaimer.
Okay.
While players driven by their competitive spirit naturally want to play even when they're hurt, the ultimate responsibility lies with the franchise. Teams hold the final say and must make the tough but responsible decisions about player health. Our first example is of a team that was accused of ignoring their players' health so severely that it was deemed illegal. Recently, a bombshell lawsuit has been filed against the LA Clippers.
I didn't know about this one.
Randy Shelton, a former trainer for both the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard personally, is the one filing it. He claims that the Clippers unfairly fired him in July 2023 because he confronted them on the quote-unquote unsafe and illegal treatment Kawhi had been subjected to. It's no secret that Leonard's days in LA have been marred by disastrous health problems. This all started in the 2021 playoffs, where Leonard suffered the worst injury of his career. In round 2 against the Utah Jazz, he tore his ACL. In Shelton's view, given all the problems with Kawhi's knee, a full 2-year recovery from this was required.
2 years? Yeah, but who can pay that?
For maximum healing. The Clippers, though, insisted that he would return at the beginning of the 2022-23 season, a 1-year timeline instead. So Leonard ended up going down this path, which was a complete disaster. It's no surprise that just a few games into the 2022-23 season, he began experiencing inflammation and swelling in his knee.
God, I'm hesitant to go along with this. I really am, because he's had this problem everywhere. That's actually why it didn't work out in San Antonio, was the same exact reasons as this. It's always been going on. So if he's really that bad, I don't think he can have guaranteed contracts. Like, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. If he's just going to, like, sign a deal and be like, yeah, well, the first 2 years I'm not going to play. Well, that's like, what we're looking at? Like, you know, anywhere from like $70 to $80 million, something like that.
Got an MRI
for
that
free?
Revealed serious cartilage damage. Instead of allowing him ample time to sit out and heal, he was administered biologics for temporary relief. After sitting out a month, he returned in late November, only to rupture 2 ligaments in his ankle. Shelton claims that these injuries for many could have been season-ending, but Leonard pressed on, as Shelton was excluded from important information regarding Kawhi's health. Towards the end of the season in a playoff push, Leonard was given a heavy 38 minutes per game load, as well as playing the back-to-backs, something Shelton strongly advocated against. The lawsuit then points out how Leonard was hit in the face on March 25th, 2023 and showed signs of a concussion. Rather than putting him under the standard concussion protocol though, Leonard played through it. Once the playoffs rolled around, his body broke down. An MRI revealed that Leonard had suffered a torn meniscus
Yikes.
and additional cartilage damage on his repaired ACL, which would end his season and require additional surgery. This prompted Sheldon to write a fiery complaint to the Clippers. He said that the mishandling of Kawhi Leonard's injury and return to play protocol has been mind-blowing, that the disregard for his recovery process is unacceptable, and that it feels as though the ultimate goal is to buy a championship. Then, 2 months later, Shelton was fired without being given a reason.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Leonard is fighting to even play on the court. He joined the Olympics team, only to be forced to sit due to knee problems. He tried to play in the beginning of the 2023-24 season, but sat out indefinitely due to knee inflammation. Randy Shelton says this is all due to the Clippers' negligence, thus prompting this very lawsuit, which the Clippers have unsurprisingly denied. Only time will tell if this case goes anywhere, but it's a scary look into what might be the harsh reality many players have to go through. While Leonard's injury debacle gets covered quite a bit by the NBA media, the way his teammate James Harden was screwed over rarely gets mentioned.
Okay, guys, what do you think on this one? I don't know, man. I don't know if starting this video with Kawhi was the best thing, because if it's really this bad, and it's been this bad for what, 7 or 8 years now, he signs up for the Olympics. He can't play in the Olympics. He keeps signing these contracts, not planning on playing for years at a time. I don't think he should be signing these contracts anymore then, because he can't fulfill his obligation at all. And call me cruel if you want. I don't know. But, like, at this point, we're talking, like, hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone down the drain that teams keep just handing Kawhi Leonard while he plays a quarter of a season if they're lucky. You know, I saw him last season in the playoffs. He looks good when he plays, but he's never around. So how can you, I mean, unless he's going to play for the league minimum, that I would give him. I would give him the league minimum any day of the week. Play on my team. Hopefully you get healthy, you can play. But I can't give you big money now, because big money are for the people who show up to work.
It feels like just yesterday when Harden was an MVP talent and one of the 5 best players in the league.
The biggest foul baiter
now,
ever.
He's not even cracking the All-Star game anymore. It's a decline that, for some reason, no one questions, as if it was just some natural one that comes with aging.
Okay, before he gets into this, I don't know if he's going to hit the angle, but from my perspective, he was foul baiting so often that the league actually implemented new rules to prevent, to stop calling any of these foul baiting. If the offensive player is initiating the contact, they stop calling these fouls until, well, OKC and SGA, but that's a whole nother situation. But they were supposed to stop doing that, and the second they did that, that's when we saw Harden's production go down. Like, I remember the timeline, and it made perfect sense. But maybe there's something else going on. There's an injury or something. All I remember is like a hamstring.
No, Harden's dwindling stats aren't because he's gotten older. It's because in 2021, the Brooklyn Nets destroyed the final years of his prime with their selfishness. Picture this. Brooklyn is on the brink of making their first finals run since the Bush administration. All they need to do is beat the Milwaukee Bucks in round 2, and they'll have a clear path ahead of them. Only one problem. After taking a commanding 2-1 lead, one of their stars, Kyrie Irving, goes down with an ankle injury, leaving main superstar Kevin Durant all by himself with no help.
Yep, I remember.
The Nets looked over at Harden, who had been sitting out since game 1 of that series with a hamstring strain, and dragged him back on the court to help Durant. So in games 5, 6...
By the way, tell me why Steve Nash was fired. He was like 1 game away from going to the promised land. I don't understand this stuff.
7 of this Bucks series. 3 games, James Harden played a combined 139 minutes on a grade 2 hamstring strain. An injury that required 4 to 8 weeks of rest saw Harden return to play after being sidelined for only 10 days. He looked horrible while playing. These 3 games permanently destroyed his athleticism and speed, prematurely ending his prime in the blink of an eye. If Harden hadn't returned to the court here, he would have very likely continued his MVP play for years to come. Instead, 2021 was the last we saw of Harden as a top 5 player. To make matters worse, Harden playing didn't even result in a series victory against the Bucks. Brooklyn lost in 7, so the Beard sacrificed his career for nothing. It's all thanks to the Brooklyn Nets prioritizing winning over Harden's long-term health.
Okay, once again, I'm kind of going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I've had a pulled hamstring. Have you guys pulled a hammy? 6 to 8 weeks? Are you kidding me? 6 to 8 weeks? Like, no. Like, within a week, you're back in action. Like, I don't... And then, you know... Continuing to play with an injured hammy, I wouldn't imagine this would lead to long-term issues either. So I don't know. I really need your guys' opinion on this because I've been through this, but yeah, I don't see the big deal. I don't see the big deal, and I don't think this is the reason why his production has diminished. I think that was the league changing the foul baiting rules. So I'm like, so far I feel like I'm totally disagreeing with this video's premise.
But even Harden and Kawhi's situations look like child's play compared to what happened to Kevin McHale.
Now, this is real. This is real. I know with this story, and this was Kevin McHale's choice. And he did sacrifice his career for this.
The Celtics lifer was a key contributor to all 3 of Boston's championships in the 80s. One of the things he's most famous for is playing the entire 1987 postseason, 21 out of 23 games, on a broken foot, averaging 40 minutes per game while doing so. Near the end of the 1986-87 regular season, the power forward broke a navicular bone in his right foot. This injury was without a doubt season-ending, if not potentially career-ending if aggravated further via playing.
Yeah.
McHale played on, though. He didn't care, and neither did the Celtics staff,
he just wanted to
who
win a
happily
ring.
trotted him onto the court. Interestingly enough, he performed quite well in the playoffs, averaging 21 points per game and 9 rebounds.
He's a monster, dude.
The Celtics made it all the way to the finals, losing in 6 to the LA Lakers. McHale's effort was praised as the definition of toughness and sacrificing it all on the line. And while that's true, it's also just another classic example of NBA teams valuing winning and the revenue that comes from it over players' health.
Well, considering that this was Kevin McHale's choice and people tried to talk him out of continuing to play, but he kept saying no, he's going to play because he wants a chance at winning another ring. You know, back then, this is the 80s. That was his call. It was his call to make, and he made it. So I'm not blaming. I never blamed the Celtics. I've never heard anybody blame the Celtics for this because this was Kevin McHale's choice. He knew the risk. He knew all the risks. There was no scam. There was no misinformation. It was, you know what this is going to do to you. And he's like, yes, I want to be there for my team. I want to try to win another championship.
To this day, over 35 years later, McHale is still unable to walk properly as a result of him playing through this injury.
Yep.
Playing through this broken foot permanently crippled his body, and he's on record saying he regrets it, only because the Celtics lost that final.
Yeah, see? You look back on it, I'll be honest with you, I played with a broken foot in 1987. I wish we'd won that championship. If we had won that championship, I'd gladly do it again to have all 4 championships instead of 3. Done. See? The thing is I don't think he made the right choice. I think he went actually too far. I appreciate people toughing through pain and whatnot for their team, for the success, but Kevin McHale went way too far here, but he did it to himself. It wasn't somebody doing it to him, and he wasn't hurting someone else. He hurt himself, and it is what it is. So I don't see him as like the victim here. There is no victim, you know. Like, if anything, the Celtics, might have been upset because he sacrificed his future for this.
Believe it or not, the Boston Celtics are the team that's proven to be the most cruel when it comes to sacrificing their players. 3 decades later, they'd repeat the mistake of ignoring their athletes' health.
Yeah, now this is a different story. This is a whole different story, as you're going to see. So remember what was said about Kevin McHale here. You know, what the storyline is, how it went down, how even years later he says, yeah, I would have done it again. You know, well, if it led to winning, that is, but that was the goal. Now it's going to be completely different here. So these two are not comparable, in my opinion. These are not comparable situations.
Problems, this time with the clear-cut best player on their team. Isaiah Thomas's decline from star
This one
to
breaks
being
my
out of
heart.
the league occurred rapidly. In the 2016-17 season, he averaged damn near 30 points per game and helped lead the Celtics to the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. By the summer of 2018, just a year or so later, he was signing minimum contracts just to remain in the league. So what exactly happened here? Towards the end of the 2016-17 season, in March, Thomas aggravated his labrum in his hip. Thomas and the Celtics evaluated this and decided to keep playing, which only made the problem worse. More and more mileage kept being put onto his injured hip. The playoffs rolled around, and Thomas used every last bit of his health to perform well in rounds 1 and 2, before his hip finally gave out against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals. Watching him run around on the court in this series against Cleveland specifically is agonizing. The guy was clearly hobbled and not even close to himself. He was finally knocked out for the rest of the season after a routine Kevin Love screen in Game 2 caused him so much pain he was forced to exit the court.
Damn.
The Celtics literally used him until there was nothing left. To make this story even more sinister, Thomas was just 1 year away from entering free agency as one of the best available players.
Yeah.
Playing through this injury cost him hundreds of millions of dollars. The Celtics gave him the green light every step of the way. Thomas grinded through the entire 2017 playoffs, dragging the Celtics to the conference finals on a torn hip labrum, only for them to blindside him and trade him just a few months later. They ruined his career, then discarded him as if he was nothing. It remains one of the more brutal examples of an NBA team sacrificing a player.
Yeah, that one hits because, I mean, I'll never know the absolute truth. I don't think any of us really will, but the accounts from Isaiah Thomas himself, he said it very clear. He shouldn't have been playing. He didn't want to be playing, but they basically like everything but forced him to play. And then he sacrificed his entire future. And yeah, he didn't get a big contract after that. And he got screwed. That one, I'm all with it. The first couple, I'm not really with it. But that one, I'm 100% with it. Isaiah Thomas absolutely got screwed in this deal. It was not right.
A few years later, in 2022, IT took a shot at the Celtics on Twitter when they repeated this mistake again with their big man, Robert Williams. Williams had played through the entire 2022 playoffs on a hurt meniscus. He had torn it in March, got surgery, and returned prematurely just a few weeks later in round 1 of the postseason to help the C's make a run for the title. Each game, he played through immense pain, but he persisted, going as far as having his knee drained multiple times during the Eastern Conference Finals. On a tweet where it was reported the Celtics had told Williams that playing on this knee injury wouldn't make things worse, Thomas said, heard that before. Well, guess what? Williams paid the ultimate price for playing while hurt just like Thomas did. He played just 35 games the next season due to knee injuries, then was traded to Portland, and proceeded to undergo knee surgery which sidelined him for basically all of the 2023-24 season. Rob Williams is yet another victim to the Celtics' ruthlessness.
Damn.
The NBA's most successful franchise clearly has no problem sacrificing their players if it means increasing their chances at winning. But enough about teams. The coach who may have the most spotty record surrounding player health is Tom Thibodeau.
And this is interesting because this is before he got fired. And yeah, this has been going on since the Chicago days, you guys. So Tom Thibodeau, it's unfortunate. His firing has been a long time coming, I feel. And the only way he was going to not get fired eventually was by winning a championship. And he's getting close, but now it's over. But he just refused to change. I don't know why. Like, I'm all about, you know, having your players play like 38 to 42 minutes, like your main guys, whenever needed, that is. But I mean, I'll let the video play. I mean, I think he played his guys in the high 40s per game. Like he was he was working them until the wheels fall off. But like this, the wheels are going to fall off way too young.
Tibbs has been accused of running his players into the ground over the years with the extremely high minutes he gives.
Yeah.
One of the players who learned this the hard way was Joakim Noah. In Chicago, Joakim, a valuable all-star piece for the Bulls, developed a foot condition called plantar fasciitis in early February 2013. It's an injury that forms most commonly from too much pressure being put on the foot. Up until that point, Noah was top 6 in minutes per game, averaging 38.6. When he initially got diagnosed with this issue, he sat out for 3 games. Sounds like a good start, right? Well, it didn't go away. But the Bulls decided to play Noah anyway after his quick little rest. In the 4 games preceding the All-Star break, Noah got 23 minutes, then 33, then 38,
right back
then
up.
43, all while he still had plantar fasciitis.
Dude, Noah was a huge part of that Bulls team, by the way. Yeah, I think if Tibbs would have won a championship or 2 with this style, I think he might have gotten a couple of more years to prove that this works. But the fact that it's been going on a long time, you guys, more than 10 years that this has been going on, and we've had a lot of problems because of this. I don't think he's ever going to coach in the NBA again, everyone. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think Tibbs is going to coach in the NBA again? Because I don't think so. Not with players making this much money. You know what I mean? Like, they have to protect their players a little bit, at least.
During the All-Star break, Noah got treatment for the injury and was quoted as saying it was very painful after the treatment. I could still feel it a little bit, but I think it's helpful. So I'm hoping with some rest today and some rest tomorrow, I think I'll be okay. I won't do too much on Sunday when the season returns. I won't play 44 minutes.
Hopefully.
I'll put it that way. When asked about this, Tom Tibbs said that he'll be fine. If he felt he was jeopardizing anything, he wouldn't do it. He won't be playing a lot of minutes. He'll probably get up and down the court a couple times, and that will be it.
Okay.
This brother was lying through his teeth.
Let's see.
In the next 7 games after the break.
Oh, yeah, he might get up and down the court a couple of times, huh? How about 38 minutes? And then again. And then again. Okay, so he's probably wore him down by here. He played 32. Now let's bump it up. Let's go to 45. Why not? Tibbs, what the hell, man?
Noah ended up playing 39 minutes per game on average.
What the hell?
Noah was later quoted as saying he felt like he was stepping on needles when playing on the court with this injury. It was driving him crazy, but no rest would be granted to him by the Bulls organization or Tom Thibodeau. He ended up playing the entire 2013 playoffs with this injury, suffering setbacks, constantly writhing in pain, and looking like a shell of himself. Considering this wasn't the first time Joakim was dealing with plantar fasciitis, the fact that Chicago was so careless and
Hold on. Out until All-Star break. So you're saying they had half a season left? They could have fixed him up in that half a season and had him ready for the playoffs, but Tibbs ran him to the ground in the regular season? Like, if it's the playoffs and he's choosing to play like heavy minutes, that's one thing. We're trying to win a championship, but you're gonna burn him out, like just wear him out in the freaking regular season. What's wrong with Tibbs? The thing is, with Tibbs, he's a great coach. Outside of this one problem, he's a great coach. But this one problem is like ruining careers that are like worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
A major problem. It wasn't just Joakim though. So many others who played under Tibbs had to deal with this. With the Bulls, Jimmy Butler averaged a league-leading 39 minutes per game in back-to-back seasons in 2014 and 2015. In a triple overtime win against the Orlando Magic in January 2014, Tibbs took things to another level when he played Butler for a franchise record 60 minutes. This came just 1 week after Butler suffered a thigh injury that forced him to be out for a
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Logs record 60 minutes. How? How's that possible? Was this like a triple overtime game? 5:15 plus 48. Was this like a triple overtime game?
It came a month after Butler had missed 11 straight games due to a toe injury. Jimmy literally couldn't walk after the game, sitting in the locker room afterwards with bags of ice strapped to his knees. Tibbs responded to this by saying that 60 Minutes was his favorite TV show.
Oh, boy.
A few years later in Minnesota, when the two joined forces once more, Butler again played heavy minutes. Only this time, the veteran complained about it.
You look like you played 40-plus minutes. Do you feel like you played 40-plus minutes?
Yeah, we need to talk to Tibbs. These 40 minutes is starting to add up.
Other Timberwolves players felt the heat as
So
well.
what is it? Okay, 48 minutes of the game. Average, for my stars, I'd want them sitting 4 minutes each half. right? And that would come into play. Okay, with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, my guy's sitting down for 4 minutes. So that way you can maximize the rest. So you're going to sit out the last 2 minutes of the first quarter. You're going to sit out the first 2 minutes of the second quarter and all that time in between. We're doing that the same exact thing in the second half. Third, 2 minutes left, you're sitting until there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Now you're back in for one last surge. What's that mean? Most of my stars are going to play 40 minutes a game. Not every game, not if we don't need you to, but most games, yeah, about 40 minutes would be the target. Not 45, not 60, but about 40 minutes, yeah.
2 months into the 2017-18 season in December, there were 13 players in the league who had already played 850 minutes, and 4 of them played for the Timberwolves.
Damn.
Tibbs was grinding his players to dust.
What the hell?
No mercy. What a coincidence that Jimmy Butler would suffer a torn meniscus 2 months later in February.
Oh, and let me get my crap straight before you guys blow me up in the comments. If someone's suffering from an injury or there's something funky going on with their body, no, I'm not playing them 40 minutes anymore, you guys. We're figuring this out, especially in the regular season. Come on. Playoffs, we can have a conversation like, how do you feel? What are you willing to do? Talk to the doctors. But in a regular season, dude, yeah, if you're injured or you're hurting or like aching or you feel something bad is happening, no, man. You're going to take a seat. You'll come off the bench that day. Don't worry about it.
Examples that aren't concretely Tibbs' fault but are still worth mentioning are the Derrick Rose and Zach LaVine situations. Rose, who infamously tore his ACL in the 2012 playoffs, injured himself while his team was up by 12 points on an 8 seed with less than 90 seconds to play. To this day, many argue vehemently that Rose, who was already very injury-prone at the time, should have been on the bench instead of on the court.
Yeah, I remember.
Everyone around the country is going to say, why was he in the game?
A few years later, in February 2017, young T-Wolves guard Zach LaVine, who was averaging 37 minutes per game, landed awkwardly on a drive to the rim.
37 is not a lot of minutes, you guys.
Despite being in visible pain holding his knee, Tibbs still played him an extra 6 minutes.
Okay, that's where the problem is. Come on, man. When you're hurt, you're hurt.
Turned out to be a torn ACL. The story of what happened to Luol Deng in 2013 triumphs all of this, though. During the spring, Deng had developed a severe sickness and was taken to the ER.
I don't remember this. I do remember Luol Deng very well, though. Let's see.
The Bulls believed he had viral meningitis, a serious condition that affects the brain and the spinal cord. So, the Bulls performed something called a spinal tap, a risky procedure that involves inserting a needle into the lower back to try and confirm the diagnosis. But this turned out to be a disaster. Deng's body reacted horribly to this.
Oh, crap.
The procedure caused spinal fluid to leak from his body, and in the days that followed, he suffered rapid weight loss, losing a total of 15 pounds. He didn't even have meningitis either, so the spinal tap was all for nothing.
What the hell?
Despite all this, he still tried to practice in order to play against the Miami Heat in the second round of the 2013 playoffs. He was even listed as active for Game 4 against the Heat.
Okay, now there's a certain point where, like, I don't care if the players... This is modern times, okay? This isn't Kevin McHale in 1987. Things were different back then. This is closer... This is in 2013, okay? In 2013, a player is going through this. We don't care what you say. If you're saying you want to play, I don't care. We got to get your health straight, because there's no way we're gonna actually like put you in a life or death situation just to play a game. This isn't the flu. This isn't food poisoning. This is like, at this point, could be life or death. Yeah, no, you're not playing the basketball game today, Luol.
But he was never in uniform and didn't play in the series. The Bulls put his life in danger, then considered playing him anyway because it's the playoffs, baby. By now, you probably understand that no one is safe from the sacrificial NBA machine, including the mega superstars like Kevin Durant. The story goes as follows. In the 2018-19 season, Golden State and their stacked God Squad were looking to three-peat. But injuries in their playoff run to Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, and Kevin Durant all put their chances of this in jeopardy. Durant had suffered a calf injury in round 2 of the playoffs against the Rockets that had sidelined him indefinitely. The Warriors, in the finals, had their backs pushed against the wall by the Toronto Raptors, falling down 3-1. In a last-ditch effort to gain some momentum and save their season, it was announced that Kevin Durant would be making a surprise return from his calf injury. Doctors and analysts had warned that such a decision could have horrible ramifications for his health. One wrong move with his lower body, and KD's calf could be toast. But there was tremendous pressure placed on Durant, by the media, by the fans, and by the Warriors organization that he needed to play. He had to gut it out to try and earn that three-peat. If he didn't, he'd be labeled as weak and soft by the masses. So out trotted Kevin Durant in Game 5, and 14 minutes later, he tore his Achilles. The worst injury you can possibly have in sports.
I knew where this was going to. I mean, I just watched a video earlier, or last night, with KG and Paul Pierce, and KG was breaking down how the Achilles tears. And basically he was saying that if the calf isn't strong enough, and he's saying that this is what's happening with a lot of people's Achilles these days. He's saying their calves aren't nearly strong enough like they used to be. They're not doing the same type of workouts. So anytime that they're tired on the court, their calves are tired, then they're not getting that full spring back. That's where one wrong move, it'll pop the Achilles, which actually makes sense. I guess when I got injured, I got lucky because instead of my Achilles popping, it was my calf that tore and ripped. But yeah, it makes perfect sense here. So here he is. He had a weak calf, and he kept going and kept going. Next thing to pop is your Achilles. So I guess it was a good thing I couldn't walk for those for those weeks, because if I would have had an opportunity to be stubborn and try to work on it or something, I could have torn my Achilles. I didn't know either.
He was put into an impossible position, and he had suffered the worst fate.
This one's unfortunate.
Either he sat out and his character was questioned, or he played and risked injury.
But once again, he's not a victim. He chose this. He chose to go to Golden State, which put this pressure on him, and then he's the one who made the decision to play on the injured calf. So I'm only saying this because I feel like this video is trying to point, basically make the team the villain in every one of these scenarios. And as you can see, in some of these scenarios, I agree 100% the team was the villain. But in some of these other scenarios, it was the player who did this themselves. So I don't believe in this false victim blaming stuff. You guys know me by now.
Which is exactly what happened. Since KD was able to recover so well from this setback and still remain a superstar player, many have forgotten about the significance of this moment.
And also, I gotta say, I've heard Kevin Durant talk about the Golden State Warriors a bazillion times at this point. He's never once blamed them for that injury. I think that holds a lot of weight.
It or not, though, it's yet another example showing that NBA teams are always willing to sacrifice their players' health, no matter how talented they are. This includes other
Can I hear that again?
Sacrifice their though. It's yet another example showing that NBA teams are always willing to sacrifice their players' health.
See, that's the premise I'm disagreeing with. I'm disagreeing with the main premise of this video. But I did learn a lot.
No matter how talented they are. This includes other NBA legends, like Kobe Bryant. If you take a look at Kobe's career stats, you'll find that suddenly, from 2013 onwards, his production plateaus. What caused it? What caused it was that just like KD, Kobe tore his Achilles because the Lakers had run him into the ground. In late March...
once again, okay, I've heard him talk about it, and I've heard Mike D'Antoni, the coach at the time, talk about it. Kobe didn't give D'Antoni a choice, okay? Because this wasn't Phil Jackson that was coaching in there. This was a new coach over there. Mike D'Antoni used to coach the Suns, 7 seconds or less guy. And they both say the same exact thing, so I know it's true. Kobe kept refusing to come out because I respect what he was trying to do. He was trying to carry the team on his back, but Mike D'Antoni would offer some resistance and be like, "Dude, sit," like take a breather. But Kobe, game after game after game, refused to sit down. So once again, and also Kobe never blamed Mike D'Antoni, he never blamed the Lakers organization for his injury. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was risking, and he chose to do it anyways. Now let's see what the video has to say about it.
Early April 2013, Kobe endured a brutal 11-game stretch where he averaged over 43 minutes per game. In 4 of those games, he never left the court.
Yeah, they're trying to make a playoff push.
In all 48 minutes without rest. At age 34, with 17 seasons of NBA wear and tear, this punishing workload ultimately led to a devastating Achilles tear occurring against the Warriors. This officially ended his prime, and turned him into a shell of himself on the court until he retired 3 years later. What we went over in this video is just a few of the countless instances...
So no mention of anything that went down behind the scenes. This is just a case of a guy who was playing too hard and he injured himself. I love Kobe. And that's why I learned this stuff, you know, how it happened, what went down. But does that make him a victim? What, a victim of himself?
Of NBA teams sacrificing their players. Ultimately, teams will always value revenue and winning over their athletes. So in return, they shouldn't then be surprised when many athletes justifiably do the same for themselves. The irony of professional sports is that the players are expected to show unwavering loyalty to their franchises. Yet these billion-dollar organizations wouldn't hesitate to trade them the second their performance dips. There is no loyalty in this game. Put yourself first, no matter what.
Alright, so here's the deal. Don't get me wrong. I really like this channel. But it's perfectly okay for me to disagree with the video's premise, and I can still like the channel because honestly, I've been a fan of this channel for quite a long time, and this one video is not going to change my mind on that. In fact, it did teach me some stuff. Like I didn't know about Luol Deng. That one, I mean, honestly, it doesn't surprise me, I guess, but I actually didn't know a thing about that. But considering it's Tibbs, yeah. So in some of these situations, like if you played for Thibodeau, yeah, you are, and you got seriously career-ending injured. You are probably a victim of Tibbs. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching him for like 15 years, coach, and he is not changed whatsoever. And that's why he's out of the league for now. It's not because he's not a brilliant basketball mind, because he is, but it's because of this one damn thing he can't stop doing. And when we're dealing with stars that are about to be getting paid, you know, like in the $60 million range, yeah, we can't do that. You know, you got to protect the asset a little bit. And I'm not talking about like you got to load manage all the time and all that. But what I am saying is when they're injured, you got to treat them like they're injured. You can't keep running them into the ground and sacrificing the rest of their career for a little bit like this. James Harden, I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. Kawhi Leonard, I don't think he's the victim. I think the teams that have employed him are the victims because they have lost a lot of money in this and lost a lot of years investing in him. And whatever's going on, if his body is really this broken, where he can't seem to play for a 15-game stretch without going down with an injury that's going to last another year, I think it's time to hang it up. And I'm sorry, I'm a fan of his. I like watching him when he's healthy, but this experiment has gone on for a long time. Kevin McHale, 100% not a victim. He would actually get pissed off at this video if he saw it, because he'd be down in the comments being like, I made my own choice, you know, don't paint me out to be a victim. It wasn't the Celtics' fault, it was mine. So those situations, yeah, I don't believe in painting somebody a victim when they're actually just making their own choice. Isaiah Thomas, that one pisses me off. That one really pisses me off. He was a young kid with a lot of potential, and from what I understood, Kyrie also had a problem in Boston because of the same kind of situation. They were forcing him to play before he was ready in his injuries. And we know Kyrie. Kyrie's not the type of guy who's going to be sitting out for nothing. If he can play, he can play. But they were forcing him to play when he wasn't in a position to do so. So whatever's happened in Boston over the last, about 8 years, I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell is going on out there, who's making these decisions or why, but I don't agree with it because this has happened multiple times now. Anyways, you guys, this was kind of a loaded one. Let me know what you think. Case by case, even, if you want. Like, do you agree with my takes as far as, like, who was mistreated and who basically, you know, like Kobe, just made their own conscious decision to play, and the results were the results? I'm curious what you guys have to think. So anyways, let me know in the comments down below. We'll have a good conversation like we always do. Everyone, please like the video. I'd appreciate it. It helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And most importantly, is to be water, my friends.